here I am with none other than Aqib Fiaz. How are you? Congratulations, firstly, on 9-0. But how are you feeling?
I'm okay, mate. All good, thank you very much. Yeah, 9-0. Yeah, better than 8-0.
Yeah.
Feels good. Yeah, good to be back. Yeah, just glad to be back in there on the big stage, and look forward to what's next now.
Yeah, Jordan seemed like quite a sturdy opponent. He had a hell of a jab on him.
Yeah, no, he started fast, and I think he started with all the right sort of attitude and everything. I think he came to win, cause an upset, and I think he sort of underestimated me a little bit, maybe. And then after a couple of rounds, once I got my timing back, once sort of got into the fight a little bit, yeah, they sort of took over.
Unbelievable. Everyone I've spoken to about yourself say exactly the same thing as what I already knew, which is that the consummate professional, the absolute gentleman, softly spoken, just want to give him a hug. He's just such a lovely guy. How do you then go in there, like when the bell goes, you just want to beat the crap out of the person in front of you?
Yeah, my style is probably the complete opposite of the way I am as a person. To be fair, a lot of people do say that. A lot of people say like it's weird how I fight and the way I am as a person are complete polar opposites. Yeah, so it's I don't know. I feel like my fighting style was always I had to fight that way when I started, and then it sort of just stuck. Yeah.
Well, your character's a character. We're going to talk more about the boxing in a set, but I've got a couple of questions before we go into that. Firstly, do you have any comfort food that you like to have after a fight, after you've been cutting weight?
My favorite is probably a pizza. My favorite cheat meal would probably be a pizza. Yeah.
Any particular toppings? And do not say anything with pineapple because I'm from Italian origin, so
Is that offensive to you? Yeah.
it is very
Pineapple.
offensive. Yeah.
I wouldn't like put pineapple on a pizza. Like it wouldn't be my first and foremost choice. But if it's on a pizza, it's on a pizza, and the pizza still gets smashed. Yeah. So it's not.
Yeah, well, it's good to hear that pineapple wouldn't be your first choice. You probably gained a lot more
Yeah.
followers from the Italian contingent straight away as a result of that. It's almost like blasphemy. But there we go. Listen, one of the other things, the second thing I was going to mention here, which and then, like I said, we'll come on to your actual sort of raw boxing. But I read recently that in the Oldham Chronicle that you helped to raise around £55,000 for the Human Appeals Orphan Fund to honour your mum. Please tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So I'm an ambassador for Human Appeal. We work with them every year, really, during the Ramadan period when I'm off training and sort of resting, and you know, and religiously, charity is a big part of Islam anyway. So we like to do a bit. We like to do our bit, and I teamed up with Human Appeal, I think, 2 years ago now. And this year, the project that I chose was to raise money for orphans. Yeah, because the year previous, last year, my mother passed away, and I sort of felt, like I really wanted to help orphans. Obviously, the orphans that we're helping, I can't compare to them because, some of the things that they go through and lives that they lead, I couldn't imagine. Probably wouldn't survive 2 days. But obviously, losing a parent, it it's definitely probably one of the hardest things to do in the world. And I really felt for the orphans there. So it was a project that I really wanted to help out. Yeah.
Well, listen, first and foremost, my sincere belated condolences to yourself and your family for your loss. And no doubt your mum's looking down on you with a big smile for all the incredible things you're doing. And if anybody's listening, watching this, please have a look at Human Appeals Orphan Fund and see the phenomenal work that Aqib, his family, and his followers and supporters have been doing there. So keep up the great work, mate. That's sensational,
Yeah. And that's another point as well. I really want to say, actually, it all sounds well and good saying Aqib Fiaz raised £50,000 for an orphan fund. However, it wasn't just me. It was everyone who donated, the community, all helped out massively, and everyone mucked in, and we did it together. Really, it wasn't just me. So I want to say thank you to everyone that helped out. Yeah.
Nice. Well, listen, collectively, then a huge congratulations to everyone there, and keep up the fantastic work. Right, we're going to dig into Aqib now. Here we go. Tell us about your amateur boxing career. It's quite decorated.
Amateur boxing career. So I started. Well, the first time I walked into a gym I was probably about 8 years old. At the Northside gym. I was really overweight. I was getting into fights in school. In trouble. And my dad had enough, and he said, "Listen, I'm taking him to a boxing gym." He took me to the gym, and yeah, the rest is history. I was first couple of years, I was still overweight, so I wasn't doing too well. I still won like an area title and stuff like that. And then as I got to the age of like 15, 16, I started doing really well. Knuckle down. My brother started also helping out coaching with me then, and that's sort of when I started. Got on the England squad from the age of 16. Started winning a few titles, and yeah.
Yeah, you're playing yourself down a bit, which is why I always have my research in front of me to make sure I can blow the horn for you, just in case. Just so for those who don't know, Aqib here, in 75 bouts, he won 9 area titles and also a national youth title at 60 kilos in 2017. So yeah, you've done more than all right. You've done very well indeed.
Yeah.
Right,
And
sorry.
like the crazy thing is, every one of them area titles was all at 60 kilo from the age of 11 all the way to 18.
Wow. So you're definitely a bit chubby at the age of 11 then.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, we need to see
Yeah.
some of those chubby photos. Circulate them around. Show us the progression of
Yeah.
the man you've grown
I'll
into.
send you some after, yeah, so you can have a laugh at me. Yeah.
No, we know laughing is a pure admiration of the hard work you had to do to sort of keep those 60 kilos, and any fighter or
Yeah.
person who has to make weight for the sport will realise the sacrifices for that. So now you mentioned about your brother. Now Assam coaches at Northside Boxing Club, and I believe that you help him. So what I'd like you to tell me about is tell me about your family, because I believe it's a boxing family, and
Yeah.
about Northside Boxing Club as well.
Yeah. So Northside Boxing Club, we were there from the age of 8, like I said, to 18, and then obviously I moved over to Jamie's gym. Assam's now opened his own gym as well, with the coach who helped me called Ryan Lawson, from a young age. Their gym now is called Next Gen ABC. They're doing really well, yeah. I mean, Assam's the coach. My younger brother's just started boxing as well. He's had a couple of fights now. He's doing okay. Yeah, and we all sort of our lives sort of revolved around the boxing now. Yeah, it's crazy.
What's your younger brother called,
Atif.
and how old's he?
Atif's now he's just turned 17. Yeah, he's actually doing his apprenticeship with Jamie's son Mikey at the VIP gym now. So he's in
Wow.
with the pros in the morning, and then so he's amateurs as well. Yeah, so he's learning loads, and he's probably ahead of where he should be for the amount of fights he's had. Yeah.
Outstanding. Wow. And Mikey, sort of being 16, 17 as well, was saying crazy. Because I remember when I was writing Jamie Moore's book back in 2015, 16, he was this little kid who barely was higher than Jamie's waist.
Yeah.
And now I think he's actually taller than Jamie, isn't he?
Yeah.
So,
So when I first met him, he was shorter than me, and he towers me now. So yeah, he's mad. Great thing.
yeah, I put it down to the fast food generation, what has preserved. Did you have any boxing idols growing up?
One of my favorites was Mike Tyson. And obviously, as I started getting into the boxing a bit more, I used to love watching obviously Amir Khan. He was probably one of my favorites as well. In terms of like an inspiration aspect, because he was from down the road, similar background to me. Dad was, his mum and dad was similar to mine, and he sort of it was relatable. So it was great to follow his career. And yeah, that's probably about it. Ricky Hatton was another one. I used to love Ricky, watching Ricky, the body punching. I remember when he made his comeback. That was my first sort of experience going to like a big. I never even got tickets for the fight. Couldn't even afford them. But I went to the weigh-in, and I remember the atmosphere and stuff. I was blown away. Yeah.
Do you know that your trainer Jamie Moore fought Ricky Hatton in the amateurs?
Yeah. He's told us. Yeah, he's told us. Actually, they spoke about it in front of us, the pair of them. It didn't go too well for him, did it? But apparently, it didn't do too bad considering he was novice. Did he?
Yeah, Ricky had about 30 odd fights, won about 5 schoolboy titles. Jamie went into it really quickly, about 7 or 8 fights, one of those sort of typical boxer things where the boxer's sort of been approached by the trainer and said, would you take on this fight? And you never say no. So,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, there's a great little video clip where Ricky goes to throw a hook, and Jamie ducks underneath it, and the next thing, Ricky's in the corner and James in front of him. It looked great, and then unfortunately, 20 seconds later, the fight was over, not in Jamie's favour. But yeah, they ended up by being really good mates afterwards. When Jamie had his book done, then Ricky Hatton did the forward for him, you know. So
yeah.
So listen, you're only 22, which is incredible with the amount of boxing pedigree you got behind you. You turned pro. What were you, 18 or 19 years old?
So I went to Jamie's gym when I was 18, and then by the time I made my debut, I was 19. Yeah.
Right. Any regrets that you decided not to go for the Olympics?
See, I was on like GB trials and stuff, and I was on the England squad from a young age. I probably would have, if I was going to go to the Olympics, it'd probably be these next one, 2024, because that was the team that's going now are all similar ages to me. And for me, I think then turning professional after that would have been too late for me. So no, I have no regrets whatsoever. Turning professional was like my first decision I ever made as a man, and it's probably the best decision I ever made. Yeah.
Brilliant. Now, you made your debut in March 2019, and within 12 months, you fought 5 times. Everything was going great. Regular fights, things were looking fantastic. Possible, sort of talks of maybe going for a belt of some sort within sort of 12 to 18 months, and then the pandemic threw a spanner in the works. So how much did that slow your career down and affect you personally?
I feel like it affected everyone in different ways. For me, it was obviously it was terrible. It was hard, but then looking back now, it wasn't too bad. Obviously, I think when you look back at things, you've always got to try to look at things in a positive light rather than negative. And it wasn't too bad considering I'd just boxed at the MEN on my first big show. Got signed by Eddie Hearn, and then the week after the pandemic hit, everything was locked down. I didn't really know what was going on. I thought, does my contract even still stand anymore? I'm still signed by him. What's going on? But then, looking back, it could have been a lot worse. People were in worse situations. Some fighters were at the tail end of their careers, looking for the last 1 or 2 fights, and they had to wait, and they couldn't get them. So it wasn't too bad for me. It was just time for me to develop, train, and turn slowly. Make that adaptation to professional boxing. Yeah, because that's what we're still going through at the time. Yeah.
We'll talk more about your trainers in a second, but the whole infrastructure, you've got Steve Wood, who manages you from VIP, and Eddie Hearn in the promotional towers. I mean, it couldn't be a much better setup, and you've got sort of Jamie Moore Trainer of the Year in the corner as well. So in terms of Eddie and Steve Wood, how good is it to work with those guys?
It is great, isn't it? I mean, for me, growing up watching the matchroom shows and stuff, it was a dream to box on them and be a part of them. Now that I am, I sort of have to pinch myself sometimes. But I believe in myself, and I believe that I'm good enough to be there. So yeah, it's great. And they're a great team. Steve's a top man. I'm sure and must have heard a lot about Steve through Jamie and stuff. But he's a great guy, and he's got my back. So I'm really glad to have him on the team as well. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. Now Steve is a genuinely lovely man. Now your right hand. You had tendon issues. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, so I've not really opened up and told anyone before, but I actually damaged my hand at the hospital. So 12 months ago, when I boxed in the Matchroom Square Garden, in Eddie's back garden, my mum was ill at the time. She was in a coma in hospital with COVID, in a bad way, and no one was allowed to see her. And yeah, so there was a lot going on. And then I came home from the fight anyway. Went, obviously was back home. A few days later, the doctor said she's made a turn for the worst. We went. What was the last night? They weren't letting us in. They weren't letting me in anyway. So sort of had a bit of a row with one of the doctors, which I do regret it now. Ended up punching a wall just out of frustration, and just obviously upset as well, and ended up tearing a tendon, and then had to get an operation like an idiot. Yeah.
In the heat of the moment, it's understandable. Yeah, well, crikey, yeah, it's a horrible set of circumstances.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. To be honest, when I talk about it now, it it brings like I'm sort of trying not to get upset and stuff, but it was hard at time, and I think that looking back, it it could have played out better, obviously, but I feel like it could have gone way worse as well. So I don't regret. I regret it, obviously, but I don't think that it was the worst case scenario either. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, no, definitely, and maybe it's a little bit of a wake up call not to punch walls in the future, but I think
Yeah,
everyone's going to sort of certainly excuse you for the fact that it was a very emotional moment of your life, and you did something which was slightly out of character, So now back to
yeah,
the boxing. You fought twice in 6 weeks, and would I be right in saying you're happy to be this active again?
yeah. Of course. I mean, I had obviously from then I had the operation, which was last November now, and then I couldn't punch anything till January, and I was itching to sort of get back and start doing, keeping myself busy. And by the time I did, Ramadan had come round, so I couldn't get a fight in before then. Then I had to wait again, and Eddie was talking about August time maybe, and I was like, I'm not waiting till August. I said to Steve, I said, listen, can I just go on one of yours, test my hand out as well? It'd be good for me, you know, good to get all my fans back in there because I've not had a fight out of the pandemic yet. So I boxed there, and then I got out of the ring and I said, Steve said, what's next? When are we out next? And I did the same again this weekend. Yeah, so I'm just busy. I just want to be busy, active. It keeps my mind occupied, keeps me in a good place, and it's good for me. Yeah.
Brilliant. No, well, listen, you looked in great shape, and some very good work to keep yourself very composed throughout. It was a good fight. I watched it a couple of times today just to sort of make sure I've done my homework properly. But no, well done, absolutely brilliant. We mentioned weight before, 60 kilos at the age of 11, and it was an agreed weight of 138 on Saturday. You've kind of been going between 130 to that sort of 138 mark in your pro career so far. What would you say your natural weight is? Are we looking at sort of lightweight,
What
super lightweight, super feather?
130 is probably where I'll be boxing for championships. The reason this one was obviously 138 because we we had a late replacement with opponents. I was supposed to be fighting someone else, and I think that was at lightweight, to be fair. But yeah, I think I will be boxing for championships at super featherweight, to be honest.
Cool. So everyone at that weight, watch out. That keeps coming for
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
So the VIP gym and athletes, it's had some good fighters there in recent years with Morsey and Co. and Mr. Nigel Travis, of course. Who's provided you with the toughest spars in there? Because obviously there's some tough people there. You got Jack Cattrall, you got Chantel Cameron, you got Carl Frampton. Have you sparred all these guys?
yeah. I sparred them all, and for me, yeah, they're all tough spars for me, to be fair. But it's great learning and great experience. Something that when I walked into that gym the first time as an 18-year-old kid, I said to my brother straight away, I said, I would love to train somewhere like this. And now I am. So it's great for me. And in terms of my learning and everything, my development as a fighter, it's been amazing, yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. Just a quick question on Jack Cattrall there. Your opinion on the fight with Josh Taylor?
The first one or the rematch coming up.
Both?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was everyone knows what happened the first time. And we can't really, you know, explain or say anything different. It was wrong. Everyone knows. But I feel like the second one now, Jack's going in a much better position into training camp. So I feel like it'll be an even better performance from him, to be honest, which doesn't look good for Josh. But obviously, I feel like he will also come better because of what happened last time. So it's just going to be a great fight. And I feel like Jack's got his number. To be honest, his his sort of mindset going into this training camp is much better than the first one, and I think Josh may be going in a bit frustrated and a bit angry with the way things played out. So hopefully that play in Jack's favour as well. Yeah, so I look forward to it. I can't wait for it to be announced. Yeah.
Yeah, I think pretty much the whole boxing world cannot wait for this one to happen. I believe that Jack Catterall genuinely could be Josh Taylor's boogeyman. You know, Muhammad Ali had Ken Norton, and it could be this is the case here. So outside of the VIP gym, you sparred Joe Cordina. What was that like?
That was great. In fact, that was my first spar back from my hand operation. So that was great for me. Obviously, great to get chucked straight back in the deep end. And you know what? It just mixing it with someone like Joe was great for me, for my own sort of confidence as well, because of where he is and what he's doing now. And obviously he ended up winning the world title in spectacular fashion, didn't he? So sparring with someone like him brought my confidence and just high, just a bit higher again. So it was great for me, great learning, great rounds, and obviously I want to say thank you to Joe for the experience. Yeah.
Superb. I mean, it's incredible that you were part of that training for him leading up to the world title. But whose idea was it to chuck him with Joe Cordina after the operation?
It was during Ramadan, and Jamie actually said to me, he said, "Oh, I'm gutted for you, Aqib." I said, "Why?" I think Conor Ben was fighting at the Manchester Arena, so they was up this way anyway with Tony Sims and their team. And he said to me, "Oh, Tony Sims has asked for some sparring for Joe Cordina," and I said to Jamie, I says, "Why are you gutted for?" and he was like, "Oh, because you're not sparred." And I said no to him. I says, "Well, go back to him and say, yeah, because what's the worst that could happen?" Um, and that's what I thought really at the time. I just thought, yeah, it's sparring, isn't it? It's sparring. So yeah, it was pretty much it. Don't think Jamie was too confident in me going in at the start because of how long I'd been out. I had no sparring yet. But I asked him, and he said, and he agreed. He said, "Let's do it," and we did it. Yeah, so it was great, really. Looking back at it, was the best one of the best things that happened to me because it got me straight back in there, and I knew how far away I was from obviously being fit and being back in the ring. But I also sort of realized that I'm not like miles and miles away from obviously the top of the world, which Joe Cordina is. Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah, you fell off a bike and you jumped onto a motorcycle straight away. Not many people would do that, you know. So you
Yeah.
trained by Jamie Moore. What makes him such a good trainer?
I feel like there's a lot of trainers out there, a lot of good trainers, but I don't think Jamie's a good trainer, obviously, but he's more than that. He's a teacher as well, in and out of the ring, and he's just a great guy. I, I remember when I first went to Jamie, and my mum and my dad were a bit hesitant because I'd been at the Northside gym for so long. They was like, "Oh, you know, because it's what we know." They were sort of maybe thinking it's a lot of change. And I was only young, but I said to him, "Look, just trust me. This is a good decision, this and that." And then the first time Jamie ever came to my house, he sat down, he spoke to my mum, spoke to my dad, and as he walked out, my mum said to me, she said, "You made the right decision." Just because of how much of a good guy, obviously and everyone who knows him knows, and Nigel as well, the kind of people that they are, and it was the best thing I ever did, and yeah, I'm just so grateful for them. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant. Right, the last three questions. We're just gonna have a little bit of fun here. Who's the biggest joker in the gym?
It's got to be Nigel Travis.
I have no hesitation on that, and I'm not going to argue that one out. Who's the biggest teacher's pet in the gym?
Teacher's pet. Ooh, I don't know. I wouldn't say there is one, to be honest. I feel like everyone is slightly, yeah.
Superb, I love it. Sit on the fence a bit there. I guarantee you, when the lads at the gym look at this back afterwards, there'll be one person.
Yeah, they'll probably say,
"Well, it's her," you know.
They're probably pointing at me saying it's you. That's why you don't say it.
Aqib, he's the biggest teacher's pet. Always comes in with an apple for Jamie. You know? So, final question: if you could spar 3 rounds with any past boxing legend, who would it be?
Ooh, that's a great question. Floyd Mayweather,
Why?
because I think I just want to see what made him so good. Because a lot of things he did looked very similar. So very very basic and very simple, didn't they? And I just like to see, yeah, because obviously it wasn't very simple, very basic, was it? It was a lot better than that. But it didn't look very spectacular or anything like that, did it? But it was just always good enough winning, just too good, yeah.
Fantastic. Aqib
So I'd
Fiaz,
like to
thank
see
you
why.
so much for coming onto the podcast. The very best of luck with the career up ahead. And I guess one thing I didn't ask you was, where would you like to be in 12 months' time with your boxing?
I'd like to have my first belt around my waist.
Okay, good, good.
Hopefully, yeah.
Well, we're all going to be firmly fixed on your career ahead. Congratulations again, once again, what you're doing on the charity side of things, and hope to see you ringside at some point soon.
Thank you very much, Paul, mate.
Great
Appreciate
stuff.
that.
Thanks, Aqib.